Okay, so I got a little project going on here. This is a hood prop, and it's often missing on Ferraris. I mean, I don't know why, but I've seemed to have, find a bunch of cars that lose them, and I actually had this piece that I found that someone once gave me or found for me, and they bought it at a swap meet, and they said it was out of a box of Ferrari parts, and you can see that someone actually didn't even know what it was. It says seat slide release, and they weren't even sure what it was, but I knew exactly what it was when I saw it, but I also realized that it was missing the little bracket that it was attached to. So I kind of kept that to the side, and occasionally, like I'll have a car that is missing, and I'll actually find one, or someone will have one. But this is often just, it's just missing. I could show you here where it belongs, and it holds the hood up. So one of the things I thought about doing was, how hard could this be to make? I mean, I wanted to see if I could just fabricate some. There are a couple little pieces here. It's basically 3 pieces, and since I had 2 of the pieces, I figured the next piece I needed to do was to make the little bracket. So here's what I got. I actually think they look pretty good. Had a piece of steel a scrap piece of steel that I had that was the exact same thickness as this one here. So I went ahead and traced it out. I don't have a bandsaw, so I just cut it with a piece of hacksaw and laid some die cam out, and made the piece, and carefully bent it with the torch, and I think it looks pretty good. I mean, if you lay it up next to it, it's pretty dang close. So anyway, now the process that I have, which is to make the rod. Well, the rod is 6 millimeters. This one's a little bent, but it's 6 millimeters in diameter. And the reason why I know this is because I have a piece of 6 millimeter rod, and so I put that in. One of the problems that I have here in the States a lot of times is everything is SAE. So from my local hardware store, I can get 1/4-inch rod. 1/4-inch rod is just a little thicker. And, I hate to be anal about things, but when I look at this stuff, even by eye, I could tell that the 1/4-inch rod is just a little bit thicker. And if I'm really going to go through the process of making this thing and trying to make it a copy of it, you might as well do it right. So 6 millimeter it is, and unfortunately, like I said, you can see the difference. I have to find 6 millimeter rod. So I can get it. I can buy this. I bought this. This is a little, like I said, it's a little bent, but I can buy it, but I have to get it, through the mail. And unfortunately, it's kind of like you buy $6 worth of 6 millimeter rod, but you pay $10 to ship it. So I'll have to figure out how much I need and how much I can buy, maybe 4 or 5 lengths of it, just so that I can at least save something on the shipping, as opposed, it just kills me to ship this stuff, because, I guess if you're in Europe, you probably can go to the hardware store and buy 6 millimeter rod and start making a bunch of these things. Well, meanwhile, when you're in the States, you can't get metric. You have to buy everything in SAE, and like I said, I can visibly see the difference. And if I'm going to go through the trouble of making a piece and making it as accurate as I can, you might as well do it the right way. So next step is to buy some 6 millimeter rod, bend this to that. Actually 4 pieces, because the next piece I have to do is I have to find this spring. I think it's regular compression spring, but what I'll do is I have to see if I can get that edge. There's a little tab on there. I have to do that. So that's the next step. And then the other thing I have to do is make this little plastic piece on the end, but that I think is relatively simple. I can get a piece of black Delrin and machine it. That's relatively easy to do. But what I figured I'd do is go ahead and make one more and make it as a template, because what I'm thinking about doing is if I want to make more of these things, I should, it's too labor intensive to make these things one at a time by hand. So what I was thinking is I would make this copy as a blank and then send it out and have it laser cut to make more of these. So if there's interest in this, you know, again, I don't know if there's a lot of money to be made to make these one after another, but I tell you, I must have bought at least 3 or 4 of these things in the last few years because they were missing. So if there's more of them that people want, then maybe I should just go ahead and make these. So I made one more, and this one I can send out and have them scan it and then cut a whole bunch of them. I mean, I think if you water jet or laser cut them, curious as to how much it would cost to make these, and then I could bend them up and make more of them. But again, you know, the problem with Ferrari parts, which is kind of funny, it's like everybody says, oh, you know, you make these things and, you know, Ferraris, you know, you make it for Ferrari, you make money from it. But, you know, the joke about it is, like, if you had something like a doodad like this for Mustangs or Camaros, you'd probably sell hundreds of them. But Ferraris, you know, 4, 3, 2 of them, you know, when Ferraris are only made, you know, as they say, before 1972 or whatever, there was like 4,000 cars. You know, even if you sold 100 of these things, you might make some money on it. But, like, how much money can you make, you know, making Ferrari parts when you're selling like 4 of them or 5 of them or 10 of them? And then there's only so much you can charge. So that's the kind of the curse of Ferraris. It sounds like you can make lots of money, you know, making Ferrari parts. No, actually, you'd make more money making Honda parts or Mustang parts. Not a lot of money to be made in Ferrari parts. And I think that's why sometimes when you look at Ferrari parts and they're so expensive, is because, number one, they're rare. So if you need it, you need it. But if you don't need it, the guy who owns it is sitting on it for years. Well, there's no money to be made storing parts. So that's why they charge you what they charge when it's time to buy one. But when you need it, you need it. And I guess I'm lucky that I can make it when I need it. But I'm just trying to decide whether or not I should make more of them for someone else who needs it. But just a little side project that I got involved with today. Okay, so we're revisiting this these bracts that I'm making. So I got some raw 6mm rod. So it's just mild steel rod, and I also got some I guess what you call Delrin plastic acetate or acetate. I forget what the name of that stuff is, but that should make this. I just got to put a taper in it. And so first things first, I'm gonna cut this down and bend it. I think the best way to do it is with a torch, because this bend is kind of curved. It's not really a sharp bend. It almost kind of has, you know, it's not, you know, it's really crude. So I'm gonna just do that with a torch. So let's do that first. So I got the rod clamped in a vise, mark the height of it for the way I'm gonna bend it, and then I'm just gonna really eyeball it. First, gotta get the torch lit, and then we'll get going. Get that first, line it up right up to where I wanted to bend. I'm just gonna bend it over. Check it. Angle, and a little bit more. More. And that looks about right. And that's it. Now I'm gonna go cool it off and cut it down to size. So I have to bake the little black knob. So the first thing I need to do is just center drill the rod. So just do that real quick. The next step is to center drill this. I've already marked the bit, how far I want to go in. So that's about how far I want the hole to go inside. So we finished that. So the next thing I did was I'm going to set how far I want this, what the length of this thing is. So that'll be how long this piece is going to be. So the next thing I did was I set up this thing to cut a taper so that it's just a slight angle on this thing. So let's see how this goes. Kind of doing this by eye. I haven't really measured it. I just know that the taper is only set for a couple degrees. As it starts to come out towards where the end cut is, it should start getting close to the end where the taper stops, kind of flares out. I've done one test run already and I kind of like the way the taper looked. And this looks like it's ending about the same one as the last one. So that's about where it ends. All right. Clean all this off. That's looking pretty good. Okay, so then I'm just going to cut this in. I'm going to do this with two hands, so I'm going to show you the end result because it's kind of hard. I don't really have a mount to show you, but I'll show you what I'm going to try to do on the nose of this thing in a minute. So I kind of freehanded it just a little bit, just to give it a little bit of a radius there. And then what I'm going to do is I'll run the rest of it with a little bit of fine sandpaper and try to take some of the machine marks out of it. With a little bit of sandpaper, you just take some of the machining out of it, and then once I cut it off, I'm going to put it on the buffer, and it'll buff that a little bit shinier. Just going to cut this off with my parting tool. So the piece looks pretty good, close enough. The only thing I don't like about it is the nose of it. What I should do is grind a tool to make this curve, and I'm just being lazy today, and I'm just trying to make it real quick. What I'm going to do is put it back in the lathe reverse-wise. It's not going to be the best fit because, again, there's a taper in it, but I'm just going to file the edge of it off, just get it roughly in place. I think the next, if I were to do more of these things, I think I'm going to grind a tool to make that radius. But today I'm just going to do it the quick and easy way. You can see how some quick file work will just get that nose, that radius kind of where you will like it. I'll do some sanding and then I think that'll be ready to go. All right, there we go. So you can see the original one right there, and this is the one I just made. It's pretty close. It's close enough for me, and it's gonna fit fine when I get the other pieces back. Okay, so this is the rest of it that I've kind of put together, assembled, and they look pretty good. I mean, I think they're gonna look fine. I'm gonna send these out for CAD plating, white CAD plating, and they will look pretty much. I mean, I think they look exactly like the original ones. So we'll take a look after they come back from CAD plating. But that's fabricating these hood prop rods.